Ethiopia versus Eritrea. Capital city: Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. Eritrea, Asmara. National animal: Ethiopia, lion. Eritrea, Arabian camel. Main religion: Ethiopia, Christianity. Eritrea, Islam. Population: Ethiopia, 135.472 million. Eritrea, 3.607 million. Landmass: Ethiopia, 1.112 million square kilometers. Eritrea, 117,600 square kilometers. HDI: Ethiopia, 0.497. Eritrea, 0.503. Gini: Ethiopia, 35.0. Eritrea, no data. Life expectancy: Ethiopia, 68.43 years. Eritrea, 68.07 years. Literacy rate: Ethiopia, 57.77%. Eritrea, 77%. Peace index: Ethiopia, 2.84. Eritrea, 2.75. Happiness index: Ethiopia, 3.9. Eritrea, no data. Most spoken language: Ethiopia, Oromo. Eritrea, Tigrinya. Official language: Ethiopia, Amharic. Eritrea, Arabic. Internet penetration: Ethiopia, 21.3%. Eritrea, 20%. 5G availability: Ethiopia, yes. Eritrea, no. Access to electricity: Ethiopia, 55.4%. Eritrea, 55.4%. GDP nominal: Ethiopia, $117.457 billion. Eritrea, $1.982 billion. GDP per capita nominal: Ethiopia, $1,066. Eritrea, $567. GDP PPP: Ethiopia, $484.408 billion. Eritrea, $7.695 billion. GDP per capita PPP: Ethiopia, $4,397.78. Eritrea, $2,101.43. Foreign exchange: Ethiopia, $3.131 billion. Eritrea, $0.225 billion. External debt: Ethiopia, $25.761 billion. Eritrea, $0.635 billion. Defense budget: Ethiopia, $2.097 billion. Eritrea, $0.198 billion. Military ranking: Ethiopia, 52nd. Eritrea, 120th. Total military personnel: Ethiopia, 162,000. Eritrea, 250,000. Active personnel: Ethiopia, 162,000. Eritrea, 120,000. Tanks: Ethiopia, 338. Eritrea, 65. Air Force strength: Ethiopia, 103. Eritrea, 20. Helicopters: Ethiopia, 33. Eritrea, 13. Navy vessels: Ethiopia, none. Eritrea, 23. Main export: Ethiopia, coffee. Eritrea, gold. Main import: Ethiopia, mineral fuel. Eritrea, machinery. Labor force: Ethiopia, 61.664 million. Eritrea, 1.8 million. Merchant marine fleet: Ethiopia, 12. Eritrea, 9. Ports: Ethiopia, 0. Eritrea, 2. Airports: Ethiopia, 57. Eritrea, 10. Roadway, Ethiopia, 120,171 kilometers. Eritrea, 16,000 kilometers. Railway coverage, Ethiopia, 659 kilometers. Eritrea, 306 kilometers. Waterways, Ethiopia, 0 kilometers. Eritrea, 0 kilometers. When comparing Ethiopia and Eritrea, we're looking at two neighboring countries in the Horn of Africa with deep historical ties, shared cultures, and a complex post-independence relationship. Ethiopia is the regional giant, both in size and influence, while Eritrea is much smaller, but has carved out its own distinct national identity. Starting with population, Ethiopia is home to over 135 million people, making it the second most populous country in Africa, after Nigeria. Eritrea, on the other hand, has a population of just 3.6 million. This massive difference also extends to land size. Ethiopia is nearly 10 times larger than Eritrea. In terms of human development, the two nations are closer than one might expect. Eritrea slightly edges ahead in HDI with 0.503 compared to Ethiopia's 0.497. Eritrea also has a higher literacy rate, at 77%, while Ethiopia sits at just under 58%. Life expectancy is almost the same, with both nations averaging around 68 years. Religion and language also reflect their diversity. Ethiopia is majority Christian with Amharic as its official language, while Eritrea is largely Muslim with Arabic as the official language and Tigrinya as the most spoken. Both countries are multilingual, with strong local traditions and languages. On peace and happiness, data is limited. But based on global indexes, Eritrea scores slightly better on peace, though Ethiopia's data is more up-to-date. Ethiopia does have 5G connectivity in major areas, while Eritrea does not, and internet penetration remains low in both countries, hovering around 20%. Economically, Ethiopia is far ahead. It boasts a nominal GDP of over $117 billion and a PPP GDP of $484 billion, while Eritrea has a nominal GDP under $2 billion and a PPP value just under $8 billion. The difference is stark, and it also shows in their GDP per capita, where Ethiopia still leads in both nominal and PPP terms. When it comes to foreign reserves and debt, Ethiopia again leads, but also carries much more external debt. Eritrea, though smaller, maintains lower levels of debt and more modest financial reserves. Defense is another area with contrasting strengths. Ethiopia has a higher global military ranking, more tanks, aircraft, and a much larger defense budget. However, Eritrea actually has more total military personnel, a result of its long-standing policy of national service. Eritrea also has naval power, something Ethiopia lacks entirely as a landlocked nation. Looking at trade, Ethiopia's main export is coffee, while Eritrea focuses on gold. In terms of imports, Ethiopia relies heavily on mineral fuels, and Eritrea imports mostly machinery. Both countries continue to develop their industrial and trade capacities despite facing sanctions, conflicts, and infrastructure gaps. Infrastructure also tells a clear story. Ethiopia has more airports, a longer railway system, and a much larger road network. Eritrea, though, has coastal ports which give it maritime access, something Ethiopia lost when Eritrea became independent. So, in summary, Ethiopia is much larger in population, landmass, and economic power. It also leads in military equipment and infrastructure development. Eritrea, while smaller, shows strengths in literacy, HDI, and maintains a coastline with active ports and a navy. These two countries remain significant players in the Horn of Africa, each on their own path, shaped by shared history and unique futures.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.